Hello there, my name is A Variety Pack, and I will be leading you through this speedrun of Valhalla Cyberpunk Bartender action. With me, I am joined by the illustrious PippyInATopHat. If you have any introductory words.
Y'all should play this game. It's really fun. It's a really interesting experience. That's what I'm here to tell you.
That is absolutely correct. Now, interestingly, before we begin the run, I would like to turn it back over to the host because I believe we have quite a few art prizes available for this run, at least this inspired by this run. Is that correct? Would you like to say more about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Variety. We've got some really fun prizes, a cocktail recipe book, a pub glass and coaster set, and a special Valhalla pin. For $10 minimum donations, we'll get you entered in for all three of those, among a variety of other prizes as well. And remember to put those towards an incentive by clicking that Add Incentive button.
Perfect. All right. And I'm going to need to know this before we get started. Can I ask, what is the ultimate music choice for this particular run?
Oh my goodness. We had some last-minute donations come in.
Good.
Winning with $240 is All Systems Go.
All right.
Thank you so much for making the right choice, everyone.
All right, so before we get started, I just want to say, yes, this is indeed a visual novel speedrun. You might be wondering how that could possibly be entertaining. However, I promise you, I'm going to make this a sort of pedagogical goal to show you that speedrunning can transcend a bunch of different games, a bunch of different styles, as you have seen thus far. And we're going to begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. First things first, it is a visual novel. There is a lot of text. We will be skipping over the vast majority of it by holding this A button here on this right Joy-Con. And we'll have 3 chapters that we must head through, and that is a total of 19 days. If you are unfamiliar with this game, essentially drinks, which we will be requested to make, are comprised of 5 different ingredients and then 2 different conditions. You can see ice and age there. For example, this first drink, a Piano Man, is going to be made with this particular code. And this one will skip the remaining drinks in this introductory section so we can get right into what you all donated for, our fun, fantastic music choice, All Systems Go. Lovely. We will be hearing this, unfortunately, for the rest of the run. There's not much else to do in terms of the audio experience here. So we'll be making a beer for Donovan. And now what's very important to know is that this is a perfect service run. It is not a give customers what they ask for run. Sometimes the customer does not actually know best, and this is a perfect example of that. The only thing that we must do is end the day with 0 mistakes on our mistakes counter. For example, here, Ingram is going to be requesting a bunch of stereotypically manly drinks. However, we will be giving him sugar rushes instead. The primary function of this is because look how small that sugar rush is. We only inputted 3 pips. We're going to be wanting to replace as many drinks with the smallest possible version of those drinks whenever possible. We will be seeing that coming up as well. However, what's really interesting to note is that there's a lot of skips also in this game. It's not simply just working within the game's bounds. For example, we're going to be making a sunshine cloud here with 2 optional karmatrine. Now, this goes back into what I said about speedrunning drinks being real, or speedrunning just in general, being all about working with the game and understanding everything that there is about it when you're actually going to be running it. So it might seem slow, for example, to add 2 unnecessary karmatrine to a drink when it's not necessary, the karmatrine therefore being the alcoholic element. However, the interesting thing is that by totaling 7 karmatrine on those drinks for say in order, we get to skip over another drink that we would otherwise have to make. So by spending a couple seconds, we get to save a lot more seconds later on. So all these sorts of skips are very reminiscent of what you might see in another speedrun like Zelda or the run that we just saw. What's really important is that the consistency of the way that we think about these things is really important when we do speedruns. We're going to be doing a day 2 here, starting with Donovan yet again, giving him some teas. And now what's interesting to note here is that, like I said, we're going to be working with the game as much as possible. Oftentimes, customers will ask for sorts of varieties of drinks, you might say, as opposed to actual named drinks. In this case, Donovan is asking for something bitter and alcohol-free. We could give him a bunch of things that meet that description, but a gut punch is going to be the smallest possible version of that drink. I'm just going to focus here because big drinks are very difficult. So if someone is, for example, asking for something that is sweet or something that is stereotypically feminine, we're going to be giving this sugar rush because it is very small and works within the boundaries of the game and also within the boundaries of the category. Something you might have noticed me doing is doing some random shakes of my fist over to my right. We are playing on the console version of this game. Now, it should surprise no one that the PC version of this run is indeed faster. However, if you are going to be playing on console, there's essentially two real versions that you can play with. There's the PS Vita and also the Nintendo Switch. I'm going to be playing on the Nintendo Switch version mainly because we have access to this fun motion control thing that the PS Vita does not. Typically, there are two sorts of stages of mixing a drink. There is mixing a drink, followed by blending a drink. Typically, to access the blending portion of the menu, you will have to wait 5 seconds for the mixing to turn into blending. However, with access to our motion controls, we can go immediately to the blending. So, for example, that sunshine cloud that we just made must be blended. So instead of having to simply wait for 5 seconds to access the blending menu, we can simply shake our Joy-Cons just a little bit and skirt that requirement. Day 3 here is going to start with a bunch of drinks that start with B, and now is a perfect time to bring up sort of pre-icing and pre-aging. Like I said, we're talking about general speedrunning tactics that you can use for your own speedruns, no matter what game you really like. So for example, the next drink that we're going to be making is called a Brandtini. And while this UI is transitioning to the drink making thing, I can actually input ice and age before any of the pips of the drinks. Now, that doesn't actually save that much time altogether. I mean, sorry, it doesn't save all that much time in that particular instance. It only saves one input of a pip. However, because we want to optimize things as much as possible, if we can put an input when it's not, shall we say, proper, it will indeed save us some time. So very small time saves throughout a run will absolutely add up to saving a ton of seconds down the line. This is only a 30-minute run. That's fairly short for a speed run. Now, I should have actually done a safety save here, because if we mess up any of these drinks, we're going to be thrown off for the rest of the run, but I have confidence in myself. We'll be making a piano woman, followed by a piano man. And then we're going to be making 2 fringe weavers and also 2 blue fairies. So here's another instance of that pre-aging. As that blue screen is coming down, we can add the aging condition to our drinks. And then we'll do the same for these blue fairies. Age while the blue is coming down. And then you can, oh, that's not quite right. There we go. 40010 age is the code for that. I'll talk about codes a little bit later. But that should be the end of day 3. And then we'll move on to day 4. 0 mistakes so far. I will be donating per mistake, but hopefully I have my route memorized enough. I can do this run blindfolded, so I would imagine that there's going to be no issues regarding that. So this is Art. Art is going to, 3 out of the 4 times we see him request a gut punch followed by some other drink. In this case, it's going to be a Grizzly Temple. We will unfortunately not have any pre-inputs that we can do, but we can do that blending motion one more time. And then we'll have everyone's favorite character in this game. This is Streaming Jen. She is a 24/7 streamer, which, I don't know about you, that sounds absolutely awful as a career choice. But,
Also,
you know,
if anyone wanted to hear the Go-Go Streaming Chan music, it does play every time Streaming Chan is on screen, so we're not controlling that. You do just get a little bonus.
absolutely correct. Now, interestingly, she asks for a sort of large version of a drink. Now, the typical way that you would do this is double the number of ingredients that take place in that drink. For example, the Bad Touch that we made requires 10 pips. We would want to double everything so that it had 20 pips. For whatever reason, for Streaming Chan especially, the requirement to double the ingredients to make it a large drink simply does not exist. So despite the fact that she asked for a large drink, we will be making her a normal-sized drink because that is allowed by the game and still permits us to get the perfect service moniker. A couple Brantinis here. I hope I didn't just reset that. That would be unfortunate. Okay, we did not. So now we're going to be giving a gut punch. We're supposed to be giving 2 gut punches, actually. 2 strong, manly drinks. However, Deal on the right there is not a huge fan of such bitter drinks. So we're going to be giving him a sugar rush instead, which we are 100% okay doing because sugar rushes are the smallest possible drink that is not on our second menu. We're gonna have an instance of what I call the manly combo. This is what I use for my blindfolded runs. The manly combo consists of a gut punch followed by a beer, and we'll see some adaptations of that as we go along. Still 0 mistakes. Glad I'm keeping it that way. Head to work. Let's talk about that menu for a second. So, if you are an RPG speedrunner, this is your bread and butter. However, the way that you actually get to certain menu items is not always going to be the thing that sort of makes the most sense. You would expect for that menu to go up and to the right to actually access the work button. However, again, practicing our speedrunning techniques, we're going to be actually going down twice, even though there is no down option. So just knowing all of these weird little intricacies to save fractions of a second is exactly what we want from speedruns. For example, I took up speedrunning as a hobby during the pandemic, and I needed something to run, and so I just so happened to have this game on my Switch, and I was like, there's no way that that's gonna be, this has a speedrun.com page, and lo and behold, it absolutely did, and I'm glad that I learned it because it really set me up for success for all of my future speedruns, because it really got me into the mindset of optimization and really not taking any possible time saves for granted. Second half of day 5 is going to consist of 1 sugar rush, which is actually mandated, followed by it's a dangerous drink. It's not particularly difficult, but it is dangerous. The drink is entitled 17, and all it requires is a drink with 17 total pips. So we're going to be making a sugar rush with 14 extra carmadrine. That is 14 plus 3.
That's a lot of alcohol.
It is a lot of alcohol.
Can I sneak in with a quick announcement?
Oh,
sure,
yes.
Go for it.
We are less than $4,000 away for that Ease 8 bonus any % run. Let's get that incentive met.
Very nice. Now, actually, all we have here is some text mashing together as we make our way to Chapter 2. So if you have any additional donations, now is a fantastic time.
Shucks, what perfect timing, right? Well, thanks so much for writing. There's so much love coming to you from the chat and from these donations. Like this $25 donation from Kyle that says, to see Valhalla ran at a GDQ is a dream come true. This game has been a life-changing visual novel for me, and to see it changing lives beyond mixing drinks and inspiring others, but to prevent cancer, how awesome is that? Much love to the runner of Variety Pack. You've got some folks from the Sukuman Friends Discord cheering you on this morning.
Wow.
I'd have a 9 a.m. beer, but I don't know how that'd fare for the day ahead. So give Betty big beers for me.
Thank you very much. Actually, we will not be.
Well, sorry about that,
The customer is
Kyle.
not always right. I'm so sorry to let you know this.
1 more.
Sure, we've got $25 from Huey that says, time to mix drinks and change lives. Well, the second half definitely applies to GDQ. Love Valhalla, best of luck to all the runners, and lastly, mashes L, P, and K repeatedly.
Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to be starting off Chapter 2 here now. Chapter 2 is sort of where things sort of go emotionally downhill for Jill, you might say. For example, we're going to be seeing here that the bar that she's working at is possibly going to close down. So we have our sort of superintendent here. We're going to be giving him a sugar rush and a suplex. Unfortunately, there is no way to bypass these drinks. These are mandated. So we're going to do that quickly. Afterwards, we'll give a beer and a sugar rush. Now, you might have noticed last time, the Fluffy Dream is also fairly small. It is under 10 pips, which is what I would consider a small drink. However, Fluffy Dream, Blue Fairy and Sugar Rush both actually fall under the sort of girly and sweet drink moniker. So if we are required to give a sweet drink, there's really no reason to give it, even though it is really small because the Sugar Rush exists. It's just so much smaller. So we'll be giving art here, the Zen Star. There's unfortunately no way to bypass that because that is the largest drink that you could possibly make in the game. I'm sorry, Pippi, but we do not like to input pips if we do not have to.
You know what? That is okay. I would prefer not to be in a beverage.
All right, we're going to be making a Piano Man. Piano Man and Piano Women. Piano Man's piano men. That feels weird to me.
Piano people.
Piano people.
The piano drinks, shall we say, are very annoying to make. If you have a large drink, it's really, really dangerous to mess it up because you have to undo the drink and redo all of it. So for the purposes of this speedrun, I will take a little bit of extra time to make sure that everything is pristine. Otherwise, we will have to spend a couple of extra seconds re-inputting all of our pits that we had inputted prior. Yes, that is a dog with sunglasses. You are not seeing that incorrectly. The dog requests a grizzly temple, but that is a gigantic drink, so thankfully we are able to give it rum, since I think all of it, don't question that, by the way.
Please don't give your dogs rum.
Yeah.
Don't try this at home.
The second menu drinks, the bottled drinks sort of tab on that menu that we were seeing, is actually incredibly useful because we are giving teas and rums, which are, I believe, 3 total inputs as opposed to the grizzly temple, which would have been 10. I have lost, there we go. That was a little scary. We have our first intermission here, and I did unfortunately mess it up a little bit. Essentially, when you know that there's going to be an intermission, you want to make sure that you're holding the A button even past the save screen. It's a little bit strange because there's nothing that you can actually see, but the game will sort of read when your input is and hold it over. It sort of buffers that input. So by holding that A button through the transition, you can sort of expedite the text mashing or the text skipping animations. I did say there would be some alterations on the manly combo that I had mentioned, and Jamie asks for a gut punch, and a beer. So that is a sort of altered version of the gut punch beer manly combo that I was referring to before. Again, we saw Ingram, and Ingram is thankfully still amenable to sugar rushes instead of the actual drinks that he requested. So we will bypass some of that, I guess, difficulty that way. Now, this is Norma. She is underage, so we will be giving a non-alcoholic drink. Thankfully, the sugar rush does qualify. And then after that, we're going to be met with Mario. Mario is attempting to put on a manly image, even though he's requesting stereotypically feminine drinks. So we're going to sort of punish his mindset here a little bit by giving him drinks that he absolutely does not want. And then he'll eventually wise up, and he'll ask for the drink that he actually wants, which is a Fringe Weaver, which we cannot bypass, which is okay, because we're rewarding him for his change in overall mindset, shall we say. It's the end of the first half of the day. Let's talk about this save screen here. We'll do that later, actually. I just took a little bit of time to think about it. This is Weird Dorothy. That's how I sort of remember this one. Her drinks are a little bit strange here. Normally she likes these sweeter drinks, so we're going to give her rum instead. And we're going to give her 2 sugar rushes afterwards. So a rum and sugar rushes, they're all pretty small, so I'm not really going to complain. And then we will give a beer not to this child, but to Gil, who is sort of off-screen helping other customers with drinks. So that will be the end of this day. But she's not going to be in a great mood. In fact, my heuristic for remembering the drink order of day 10 is just the word depression. Essentially, all of the drinks that we're going to be making either have very happy-go-lucky names or they're drinks that Jill has a particular fondness for. So for example, our first drink is going to be a Sparkle Star. Again, a very fun-sounding drink. Followed by the Bad Touch, which Jill finds just hilarious. 2, 2, 2, 4. We'll be making a beer afterwards, which is Jill's favorite drink. And then we'll be doing exactly what we did in day 1 with Say while she's here. We will be giving her a Sunshine Cloud with 1 extra Karmatrine. And you might remember, this allows us to skip future drinks, assuming that we've met a certain alcohol level. So this drink will only have 1 added Karmatrine as opposed to the 2 from before. But with the drinks I will be serving Stella and Say in the second half of the day, it should, I guess, work out to actually skip those text boxes and those drink orders. We'll start with the Brantini. She will ask for a big one, but yet again, we are not actually required to give the big version of the drink for whatever reason. I am not complaining as the speedrunner. These 2 Bloom Lights are interesting, and so while we're here, I might as well talk about codes. Each of these drinks has a sort of code that I remember, and if you're looking for really good passwords for your computer, they really work well. For example, the Bloom Light is 40123 Ice Age with a plus sign, so it works really well. Unfortunately, this is one of the only big drinks that we are required to serve, this Sugar Rush, and then thankfully she asks for something, so we're going to be giving her the shortest possible drink input, which is just something from the second menu. All right, we are coming up on day 11, and we have our final instance of the manly combo. We will be giving a gut punch and then a beer, although they will not be to the same recipient.
There are 2 dogs.
There are now 2 dogs.
Exactly. More dogs.
All right, after that, we have a beer for Betty here. And I think that's what the donator was asking about. They were asking about making a big beer for Betty, but unfortunately we had to skirt that request because it's a little bit slower. This is our Fringe, our Bloom Weaver combo, and now let's actually talk about the save screen. So we're going to be, in our save screen, be mashing through the first section here until we see this screen, mashing the B button to leave, and then mashing A even into the next text box. I did actually say at the very beginning of the run that we will be skipping the vast majority of the text via the A button, or at least holding the A button. That is not the case with text boxes that are coming out of the save screen. And the reason for that is a little bit strange. There's only one text box, so there's no reason to hold it, because then that one text box would be extended past where it would actually be necessary. So for anything that has one text box, we will be mashing the A button because we don't want to have to wait necessarily for that text box to have to go away. Jill here, hey, that's me, that's what I'm dressed as. Jill here will ask for a sugar rush and then a big beer, but thankfully 2 runs, which are very, very fast in comparison, will satisfy her regardless. And then we'll be coming up on day, I guess that would be day 12. Head off to work. And so yeah, I have all these weird like combos and heuristics to remember all of these things for the blindfolded run. This is Cool Lilim Dog, which makes absolutely no sense to anyone here except for me. It will comprise of a Brandtini, as well as a Fluffy Dream. When I think of the word dog, I think of the Fluffy Dream drink. I think you can manage to figure out why that is. Afterwards, we have the second, or I guess one of the instances for the second condition of this speedrun. We are required to get every single sort of hidden ending. So we have to know when a character is down that we have to give them a specific drink. So for example, for Dorothy, we must give them the Piano Woman. That is the end of the first half of the day. There's going to be an intermission here, I believe. So I will be mashing B and then holding A, good, so that we can begin the sort of text mashing process a little bit faster. And it's just a little bit, but remember, we are all about optimizing here at AGDQ. We have Say here, so we're going to be giving yet another Sunshine Cloud. However, this one does not require extra Carmetrine. We are done giving extra Carmetrine to drinks that do not initially require it. After that, we'll be giving something non-alcoholic. And then Art's drinks will be fairly standard. So if you have any donations to read, now is a perfect chance.
There continues to be lots of love for you coming in from the community.
Awesome.
Like a $15 donation from Pumpkin Spice. It's pretty wonderful. It says, thanks for raising the bar with a variety of well-made drinks, per chance.
Thank you very much.
And we've got a $20 donation from Average Joe Star that says, call me old-fashioned, but I ain't no lightweight. Let's see if we can't shake things up a little with an ice-cold Dono $5 train for our favorite cocktail. I really like that donation train idea, and let's get those tickets bought before the end of the run, shall we?
Yeah, that donation was working overtime. All right, so for this little truth or dare game, it's a weird mix of that text mashing or the text holding thing, as well as the text mashing that we do for any single one text box. For whatever reason, the text mashing is interrupted every so often by sort of, I guess, dialogue prompts that want you to select one of those characters. So optimally, you would hold the mash until you exactly know where the single text box would appear. Then you would mash for a brief amount of time before you go back to the text holding segment. This is a fairly long cutscene transition, so I guess if you have another donation, that was a great time.
Absolutely. We have a $100 donation from TypeRex177 that says, Bartender Variety, can I get a round of water for chat? I'm buying, so make them a double. Hydrate.
Hydrate indeed. Thank you very much, TypeRex. One more.
Yes, we have a $5 donation from Goofed, purchasing that ticket for the donation train, saying, keep up the amazing run, Variety. You're killing it. Oh, and tell Rad Shiba, it's rad, smiley face.
Do we see Rad Shiba again? If we do, I will be absolutely sure.
Rad Sheba, if you're listening, you're rad.
You are absolutely rad.
You're rad in our hearts.
Also, you're a corgi named Sheba. I'm confused by you.
All right, we have successfully made our way to chapter 3. Oh, there
there's
he is.
Rad Sheba!
You are so
Rad
You
Sheba,
are so
rad. You're
You
rad.
are so rad. All right, this is Virgilio yet again. He'll be asking for a Bleeding Jane, followed by another requirement drink for those secret endings. This is a Flaming Lye. It is not in our initial list of drinks, but it will unlock the secret curry ending for him. Something bitter, and you know what that means. We're going to be giving yet another gut punch, followed by another instance of art. If this is a bit of interesting remembering, it's an interesting test of memory, but yes, art will always request a gut punch followed by some other drink. Now, let's talk about one other optimization thing that we can do here. When we actually see the jukebox, we are allowed to change songs over and over again, but we want to make sure that we time this exactly so that we don't have to wait around for that ready thing. It's very, again, minuscule time save, but that's really what it takes to be like optimizing everything. That's what we love as speedrunners. We love to make things more complicated than they need to be, to just put it mildly. So we will absolutely take every single step that we can to make things as fast as possible. All right, 0 mistakes still. I might as well mention while we're here that the current route of the game was made by Jan Urala, who is a fantastic speedrunner of this game, as well as Signalis, actually. I made sort of some of the first original routes, but the current one that we're using is their idea, and it's a really, really good route. They found a lot of things that we were not doing previously, like serving drinks where they were not necessary before. So big shout outs to them for this new route. Oh, in terms of heuristics, this day I sort of have it as cracking a cold one open with the girls. That's because these two girls are going to be requesting drinks that either contain ice or are commonly associated with ice. So for example, that's not correct. There we go. We made cobalt velvets and sunshine clouds and beers, which do not have ice in them, but are commonly associated with ice. And we finished this half of the day with a frothy water, which I don't know about you, but that sounds absolutely disgusting.
It really does. I'd also like to give a shout out to Stella, the girl with the cat ears and the hair everywhere. For some reason, she's been my phone background for like 5 years. I don't know why.
It's a cool design, I cannot lie.
Well, I love the eye. It's just really good character design. The characters are great.
All right, we have Mario again, and he is thankfully moved past his old mindsets, shall we say, of masculinity, so he will simply request the drinks that he wants, which consist of yet more drinks with ice in them. So I think my heuristic for that is the boys, I guess, can have one as well. Still 0 mistakes. And we will move on to day 16, which we'll see unfortunately our last sighting of Ingram, not because he's a particularly pleasant character, but because we love to replace things with sugar rushes whenever possible. Again, small drinks, good. 3 sugar rushes should finish Ingram off, and then we have more drinks that begin with B. This time the order, I believe, is Bad Touch Brantini Beer. There's the first one. Brantini is coming up.
Can we give a shout out to how much memorization Variety has done for this? Like, she has it so down. Oh, and it's really impressive.
Incredibly impressive, for sure.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. Mashing that B, mashing the A, still mashing the A so we can get past that one text box, and then we will continue the day. Norma will thankfully not request anything else from us. So we will continue to make a Bleeding Jane, a beer, and then a Fluffy Dream. Bleeding Gill Dog, I think, is the sort of way that I remember that. Again.
Poor Gill Dog.
Of course. Even though there's no dog on screen, when I think of the word dog, I think of the drink, the Fluffy Dream. Okay, still 0 mistakes. Glad to see that. And now, the moment that you've been waiting for, we actually have a skip to do. Can you believe it? In a speedrun?
We have a glitch.
Whoa.
I'm not sure if it's a glitch, but
Maybe.
it definitely is
A feature.
a feature that we may exploit, for sure. Unfortunately, Donovan's drinks here are required to be the beers that he actually does request. We cannot give him the teas or the rums as he's been asking for before. And we're going to make the only pile driver of the run. This is also something that cannot be circumvented. After this, we have Kirimiki for the second time. And now when we give her her tea, we're going to actually need to do one additional input in that secondary menu. Kirimiki specifically needs the tea. She will not accept the rum. So we have to do one additional input in that second menu that was not there previously because we did not have the rum before. So just additional things to memorize, but when you get them, it really does make a marked difference on your speedrun times. All right, starting off with a Bleeding Jane for Stella, followed by a Brantini. And then here's the skip that's coming up. All you really need to do to have a certain drink or alcoholic level inputted into a character is simply have the drink made in their presence, particularly the Flaming Moai. So we're going to be making the Flaming Moai here. We're going to be very careful not to serve it because she's asking for something classic. We're going to trash it instead and then give her the classic drink that she wants, which is in this case a Frothy Waters, the smallest one. What that does is it skips one additional drink that we would have to make because trashing a drink, ironically, is faster than having to actually make the drink that would otherwise be requested of us. So we also unlock Jess here, a sort of one-off secret character, so we'll just give her the Sugar Rush and then the Brantini. Still 0 mistakes as we're coming up near the end, actually. This has been a wild run. All right, one thing that I did not mention is that when we're actually done making drinks, we want to make sure that the last input that we do in the pipping menu is actually done by holding the A button. That's because in a similar vein to the intermissions, that text box that comes up, we want to make sure that we're already inputting something for that, I guess. That is not correct, there we go. Before that, so we don't have to wait additional seconds. Again, it's a very small amount of time, but it's super useful for us. This is sort of what I call the final boss of the game. We've discussed that the piano people, is that what we call them?
Yes, piano people.
The piano people drinks are the biggest, and it's really costly to mess them up. So I consider them the final boss because you have to make them in a successive order. Streaming shot here is one more time, and then I sort of have like a fake identity for this next section of the run called just the combo, which is not very useful, but it consists of the gut punch and then a sugar rush. There's a lot of gut punches and sugar rushes being thrown around in this day, so we're going to be simply thinking of it as combo, double sugar rush, and then 2 beers.
I'm waiting for the mod for this game that lets you put actual Twitch chat on screen when Streaming Chan shows up. That would be really impressive.
That would be impressive. Also very apt for this one particular purpose.
Yes.
We're trying to raise a lot of money. All right, sugar rushes again. And then, like I said, we were just doing 2 beers, not the big beers that she is requesting. We're just going to be doing normal-sized beers. But we're coming up on the end, so if you've got any, let's say 2 more donations before we finish off this run.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd love to be able to share a donation of $50 from Chaos Caller that says, ooh, prizes.
Yes.
And that's right, that got you entered into so many prizes, including so many of the Valhalla-inspired artwork prizes that were donated. And we also have a $25 donation from Cyberbot X that says, woke up just in time to catch Valhalla. Love this game. Best of luck on the run to a variety pack. Put this to the bonus any % run of Ease 8. And we are just over $3,000 away from meeting that goal. Chat, I know we could do it. Audience, let's make it happen.
Woo!
All right. Time is actually going to be coming up here in just a second. We're going to be making one final sugar rush for the run. And then the time will be when the screen starts to light up and the music changes to something that sounds a little bit more triumphant than what we're dealing with currently. There's our last drink. Hold A to the end. Normally I have some other music in the background, but this should be fine. And that is time.
GG's. Wow. Perfect service.
Perfect service. All right, there's some credits on screen, but I guess it is time for me to say some thank yous and goodbyes. First of all, thank you very much, Pippi, for being here again as my moral support commentator. Thank you very much to the host as well for being so attentive with my sort of erratic sendings of donations over to you. Again, there isn't too much of a community for this game as of now, but there certainly could be if this was at all interesting to you. But overall, I just want to make sure that I impart one more time that this is, even though it's not like the most flashy Zelda or God of War speedrun that you can think of, it has all of the same components. So if you are out there wanting to speedrun a game, try it. There's probably something that you are missing, and I promise it is going to be worth your efforts. You had a story about that.
Yeah, so fun story. I mostly run Zelda at the moment, but I also started from the world of speedrunning strange visual novels that you don't think that you could speedrun. I started speedrunning Signs of the Sojourner, which is a visual novel deck builder. And when I started, there wasn't even a speedrun.com leaderboard for that one, but like, you know, if there's a game out there that you feel like you enjoy the gameplay of and want to dig deeper into, a lot of designing routes and like really making a community and a run out of a game is just digging into the weeds and finding whatever you can. And it's a really fun process. And I think it really does help with moving on to speedrunning anything to have that behind you. So even if you have aspirations of being the next Zelda world record holder, the next Mario showcaser for GDQ, it is always a noble start to have starting small.
Absolutely. Well, I think that is going to be the end of my time here. Thank you very much for watching one more time. I have been a Variety Buck, and please continue donating to this fantastic cause. See you later.